Hi guys, Peter Berryman here with Kevin Ellis Jr. and join us as we look through the season for Porsche GB. Obviously we're here at the Sim Centre, bit empty at the minute as you can see behind us, but yeah, we've run through 12 of the 16 rounds of the season now, so have a look with us as we look through what's went on. And obviously we go into each event with sort of a pre-set out plan, pre-made plan, you know.
Yeah.
The tyres have maybe got 4 or 5 lap run in them, and then we sort of figure out how we want to alternate, you know, who starts ahead and, you know, who crosses over, figuring out where it's best to maybe pull off and things like that.
Yeah.
It's obviously quite important in this championship. As you can see, obviously it's quite a bit of a mess here with cars everywhere.
Yeah,
it's quite
exactly.
distracting.
At the start of the session, normally everyone's sort of on the same run strategy where, you know, there's a couple sort of warm-up laps and then you push, but at this point here, like, people have sort of been aborting and restarting at random times, so...
Yeah, it gets a bit messier as you go on.
But, yeah, only sort of P4, which was the story of my qualifying for the first half of the season.
Pretty much the story of the championship, really. I think, you know, not being too disrespectful, but we pretty much know that out of the competitive guys, it's pretty much 4 guys at the front every week. So
yeah.
At a minimum, you sort of want to be in the top 4 to sort of know that you're kind of where you need to be, kind of thing.
Especially with how the reverse works out, like, even if you start 4th, it's not necessarily the worst because you can make those points back up in race 2.
I think more often than not, if you finish 4th, you sort of know in your head that, you know, starting, was it 3rd, or
yeah,
that you've probably favoured to, you know, come through and win the race. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, top 4 is definitely what you're really focusing on.
All right, so yeah, start of race 1 then. I remember Graham was weak off the line, I think.
I think Red Bull's most races are quite weak off the line.
Yeah,
I think we noticed that pretty quickly, that we were quite strong. Obviously, I got up the inside here, I think, going into T1, but I think I thought better of it. Obviously, it's always going to close on the exit, and don't really want to get into any incidents at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's first race of the season, obviously, points on the board. I think I got by Graham and then straight away was sort of on the aggression to try and get back ahead of me, but yeah, into turn 3, I definitely had my head on a bit of a swivel there for sure.
Yeah.
You know, Graham's obviously very aggressive, can sort of throw a dive out of nowhere, and a lot of times, so just got to make sure you stay awake when he's around you.
Yeah. As most of you guys would have seen there in the straight, Sebi obviously dipping out of the slipstream. Very early, obviously, he realises that, you know, we run quite a high wing on a fixed setup in this championship, so, you know, the slipstream is going to be quite a bit more than, you know, most races that you would expect.
That was something as well that we really picked up on in testing before the race, was that it was quite raceable.
Yeah.
Obviously, in comparison to the Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, where a lot of times we've got the car, you know, very trimmed out. There's not a lot of weight coming off the car coming into this. This is obviously very different. It's different to drive. It's also different to race. So
yeah, a lot more forgivable, I think. These setups,
for sure.
You can definitely get away with a bit more.
At this point as well, normally during the races, we'll start to try lining up for fastest lap. The first lap obviously is a bit of a write-off with the start and cold tyres, but then the sort of 2 or 3 laps after that, you're sort of dropping back from the car ahead, trying to give yourself a gap to drive into. It's pretty obvious as well that Seb can't get fastest lap with him being out front. So
yeah, and if he did, that would be pretty mega achievement, really.
Yeah, it would be pretty
embarrassing from our point.
At this point here, like, the tyres have already overheated, although we're only 7 minutes in. It's one of the things we need to battle in this car is just the tyres.
Yeah.
You know, simply driving around normally will overheat the tyre. As soon as you go for a battle, you need to bear in mind that after the fight you are going to have tyres that are not in the optimal window. So
yeah, you really need to be looking ahead if it's worth it or not. Yeah, even when you get the move made, often it's sort of, you leave yourself at a disadvantage because you've worked your tyres way too hard.
Exactly.
And this was crucial. So for me at this point here, I know that there's a shot now. Obviously, the situation's changed. Rather than having to be careful not to sort of run through you, I've got an opportunity to pass Seb.
I move right here to give you draft, and then
yeah, and I was pretty upset at this. Obviously, at this point, that's the 3rd time that I've been doored by Seb.
And then here Seb just sent me on the inside, and I had to turn out of it to not get hit. It was a good move from Seb. Obviously, I was.
For me, it was so frustrating overall. So, you know, because not only has he killed my run, but he's then overtaken you. He's overheated my front left by hitting me, and it's caused me to understeer off in Stowe.
Yeah.
So I've gone from having a shot at getting us to 1-2 to now none of us are looking like we're going to win, and I'm back in 4th.
No, I think at this point it was basically Leonard's turn to the finish, and Seb ended up picking up the win for race 1, and it ended like this. All right, so obviously race 2, we've just swapped back. So I would have been second in race 1, so I ended up being what, 5th,
Yeah,
and then you've gone from 4th to 3rd.
yeah. Interesting thing you can see, obviously, is it's crazy how much the weather changed for race 2. It's like
Yeah.
the lights have gone out, you know.
Yeah, I
So
actually
it's
forgot.
so much darker than
I forgot about
race
that.
1.
A big cloud sort of came over, and
Yeah.
the track temp definitely dropped a few degrees, which, especially around here, would have helped us a lot with grip.
Can often be quite distracting, you know. I
Yeah,
find
yeah,
sometimes, you know, your reference
sure.
points, when you're so much used to a reference point, and then all of a sudden, you know, the brightness on it is completely changed. It can be a bit weird and off-putting.
You see here, you got a really good start straight away. I think
Yeah.
I got a good start as well. I think Graham again was poor off the line.
Yeah, so I got a bit better start than race 1 than with Seb. So in race 1 where I backed out, I could obviously keep the foot in a bit here, and then as you can see going into T3, I've abused the track a little bit. I think in real life I'd maybe get a bit of a talking to about that, but yeah, I think I knew as long as I was clear into 3, that's what I needed. For obvious the reasons, as you can see behind, I knew that'd be 2, 3 wide probably. So
Scary part for me as well was obviously Berryman was up there, and you know he's no slouch, but I don't think he's sort of used to being surrounded by pest guys who don't really
yeah,
give any space, and you could tell he was sort of panicking
yeah.
at turn 4.
I mean, if you were to go back and look, I think you can see the space I left into 2 was just for that.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you just don't have as much trust with guys if they're gonna leave that, you know,
for sure.
that small bit of space or not. Obviously, we're in a channel talking to each other at this point, so we're just trying to figure out what the best way to do things is. And yeah, like you say, I think we decided that just trying to manage the gap between ourselves, just so that you could get enough slipstream that you weren't sort of under pressure every corner, sort of thing.
And it's a little bit harder to manage than maybe most people would think, because you don't actually want to be that close, because then I can't push the braking zone and it leaves me exposed.
Yeah.
You know, I had to sort of sit at a very small window of like 0.25 to 0.35, somewhere around there, so I was within that sort of dirt air wall, but I wasn't so close that I was near running through the back of every braking zone. Because obviously for Seb, he's not got a teammate around him, he's not got anything to worry about. It's just a case of, you know, worrying about us two, whereas we've kind of got to worry about each other, which...
It's kind of similar to what we actually ran into with the IRA1 World Championship. You know, most people looked at that championship thinking, you know, 4 Apex versus, you know, Martin van Loosenord, like they've such an advantage, but it was often quite the opposite, because we were trying not to trip over each other so often, and Martin only had himself to worry about, that I often felt it was the opposite way around.
It's been a new issue that's only sort of cropped up recently as well, where, you know, obviously with online racing, what you see on your screen and what the server sees has always been 2 different things. There's never been any debate about that. But I think this year especially, it's definitely gotten worse.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that later as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the season as well, like the update that really it started to creep up even more hadn't actually happened yet. So this was probably the best it was all season. As it's gone on, it's actually the problem has gotten worse for whatever reason. It's really made things quite difficult for us. You're going for a move and keeping a nose sort of hanging on the inside there. It's riskier now than it's ever been. I'm actually pretty excited for rain. On a bit of a side topic, I think obviously hopefully the tyre holds up. And
I'm a bit skeptical. Obviously, I don't want to be the big negative all the time, but you know, obviously, being pretty blunt, the dry tyre is so unrealistic. You know, that I just don't have much faith that a rain tyre is going to be what it needs to be. So I wouldn't be surprised we'll have crazy stuff that it's faster in the rain on slicks or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem that we run into. You know, is that what we've got at the minute, you know, the dry tyre really does suffer from overheating as it stands.
Yeah, extremes like lava after half a lap.
Yeah, exactly. Like 1 lap in, you know, we're already sort of suffering from surface temps. So you're bringing out a whole different dynamic of a wet tyre. There's obviously a whole different makeup of tyre, and then you add the rain in there as well. Especially knowing iRacing, they're probably going to do it, you know, properly.
Yeah, like there'll be transitions where it's a little bit damp and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think we'll run into, like I say, the track ends up being so cold that a slick will end up being a few seconds quicker because the temps are so much lower, meaning more grip, you know.
It'd be interesting as well to see if they ever unlock the temperature range, because obviously we can only go from 18 to what is it, 32?
Something like that.
Air temperature and the track temp.
I can remember coming to Silverstone for WEC and it was snowing. I think the track temp was 1 degree.
Yeah.
I think they're only like a second slower than what they would be in like a 25C track on a sunny day.
It'd be interesting to see what would happen in iRacing if you would just grip flip or if the car would actually handle quite nice. So the entire way here, I get within that 0.3 sort of magic window where the car picks up downforce, and from here to the end of the lap, I'm just pulling time on you near enough everywhere. and it's just purely because the way that the draft works out. For some reason, if you get within 0.3,
Yeah, the
the
slip
car,
seam is
it's like
massive.
it's almost as if there's like a sort of halo or like a sort of like,
like a little,
the air goes
little
up over
golden
the car.
bubble over the car. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a golden bubble in this car within 0.3, where you don't really get any understeer, and the car actually picks up more grip, and you also get a ton of toe. I mean, you can see how much I've gained through that last section. It's over a tenth I've gained. So yeah, out here, 2/10 back, I was like, I've got a really good run. If this was Seb or anyone else, I'm having a go here.
So I obviously see that you're close. I'm like, okay, he's not going to go for it. And at that point there, you dip out, and I crap myself being pretty straight. I thought, no way he's going to steal that off me after saying that he wouldn't do it. So yeah, that definitely made my heart.
Interesting, you know.
Definitely made my heart skip a beat there. But yeah, it was pretty nice. A good first event, sort of starting off the season with a pretty solid bank of points.
I think
for both
this year is where you're
know.
sort of shouting at me like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think we're sort of having a laugh there. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Overall, really good team result. You know, we picked up a P2 in race 1 and then a 1-2 in race 2.
Yeah, so it was it's a pretty good start.
Not a perfect start, but it's you know, it's points on the board. It kept Seb at bay. You know, if Seb had sort of come out and had a double win or something like that, you know, we'd really be on the back
obviously
foot straight away.
He's the sort of the favourite coming into this as well. So
reigning champ as well, you know, and former world champion. So you know, we were close last year. Obviously missed out by 1 point. So coming into this year, it was important that Pete and I, you know, we worked together as best we could to sort of try and neutralise his talent and raw pace, which obviously we managed to do.
Alright, so this is round 2 then, races 3 and 4. As you can see then on the starting grid, the quality results. Quite a bit bigger the gaps than I probably would have wanted really. Obviously Red Bull 1 and 2 in quality, which obviously is not ideal. Especially around here, Brands Indy, there's really not much opportunity for passing and things like that.
Yeah, we knew that coming in. Obviously we wanted qualifying to be the strong point. But you know, the first half of this championship, we'll probably notice as we go on, I really struggled to just sort of get the laps together and sort of get a groove. So I kept putting myself on the back foot, starting P4 and just kind of having to rely on the reverses. I mean, obviously, as you can probably tell, it's probably not going to be as exciting a race as Silverstone, so probably not as much to sort of go over, but I know for a fact that obviously lap 1, there's a couple of things to go over. Start line here is really weird as well. Like getting the clutch right was quite tough.
Yeah, because the transition as it sort of goes uphill as well.
Yeah. The front straight is really, it really undulates quite a bit, especially right where we're starting. I think Graham is sort of slightly on an incline, whereas we're sort of on the flatter part.
Obviously it's quite cambered as well, like that, as you can see.
You see the guys in the background are they're more downhill. So depending on where you are, you might need to adjust your clutch. But I think off the line here we got a pretty good start.
Yeah, so I got a massive start. So as you can see, up the inside of Seb straight away. So
yeah,
it was obviously massive in my head here. What a big shunt.
Someone's had a huge
in my head, I sort of know as long as I sort of keep alongside, I probably should get the move done. But unfortunately, Seb gets a big run out of here, and then shoves me off the road. So obviously the stewards give him a penalty for that afterwards, but didn't really do much for my race. I guess the only benefit really was that it got Kev through to the front, but yeah, it was pretty devastating, to be honest. I felt I probably would have got the move done there, and obviously given what happened at Silverstone, you know, we had contact 3 times I think, and then straight away at this event he's shoved me off the road, so I was pretty upset to put it lightly.
Yeah, so obviously at this point here, 2 minutes to go in this race, it really was a case of just sort of settling down and realising I was probably going to get a P2 finish out of this. So it was 5-6 points lost to Graham. Obviously Graham got the bonus point for qualifying. Alright, so yeah, then race 2, Graham obviously back in P6, Seb P5. I was P4 with obviously a few guys ahead that I felt I could probably get a bit of a move done early.
Yeah, you've definitely got speed on him. It's just getting the move done is obviously the hard part around here. So.
Yeah, and again, like no disrespect to Chadwick, any of those kind of guys, but you know, Chadwick was probably going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle at the front, and it's not.
It's going to create opportunities.
Exactly, yeah.
Sure.
Like as soon as Josh or Jack go for a move on him, it's going to open a door for me. So I had to kind of try and use them as picks.
Yeah, pick your moment.
And obviously for yourself, trying to get from P12, just try and get as high up as you can.
Yeah, I still felt like I could maybe get to 6th or 5th or something, but obviously it's quite difficult. You know, with the field spread already, like after half a lap, you're 10 seconds off the lead or something crazy just because of the field spread. So straight
off the line, Jack got wheel spin. I got to P3 and then Seb instantly had a send into turn 2. I had to sort of turn out of it to not get sort of killed, and then here Chadwick and Josh get into it, and I sort of forced Seb wide, and again used Chadwick as a pick.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of retaliation, really. I'm not sure, I can't remember too much what happened in that incident, but yeah, it looked like after Josh got pushed wide, he just sort of had his own back, you know, give as good as you get.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. As Josh sort of pushed Chadwick wide, I knew I just had to turn to the inside to get away in case Chadwick sort of spun and came across. And obviously Seb had positioned himself on the outside, so it left me a pretty easy decision to just sort of feed Seb out onto the runoff, and then he would get checked up by Chadwick, which he did, and then it sort of left me already in P2 behind Josh. Yeah, so at this point here, it's only a couple minutes forward from where we were. At this point, obviously the tyres have sort of gotten into their window, and Josh made a couple like really small mistakes, but obviously around here, that was enough to get close. So into the final corner, I like to take sort of quite a shallow line. I sort of lean on him a little bit on his right rear. It just unsettles his car ever so slightly, and you can see it obviously leaves me right under his rear wing for turn one. Josh decided to go to the inside, so I was like, right, well, I'll take the outside. And then the tough thing with the inside is you can't actually see your brake marker, so obviously Josh runs deep. I get the cut back and clear him, and that leaves him and Seb sort of side by side.
Pretty nice move though.
See a look of relief there. I was the last few laps I was definitely a little bit nervous. Turn one was kind of scaring me a little bit, but yeah, we got the job done. Not a bad day at the office. Alright, so yeah, on to Snetterton then. Good qualifying lap from yourself. Obviously put you on pole and got a nice bonus point. Good way to sort of bounce back after Oulton Park, but yeah, obviously again subpar Q lap for myself. So yeah, just kind of had to cross our fingers and hope that the start would present something, but it's such a tight and narrow sort of start-finish straight there that we just couldn't. There's just no space to really go anywhere, you know. Even if you get a good start, I'm just going to go into the back of Graham and still be stuck alongside Seb. So I do remember getting a good start here again. Actually, I think I was side by side with Seb through turn one. Had to be sort of fully aggressive here and try and hang it around the outside, but.
Yeah, I think I was same boat. I got such a good start that, as you can see there, I was able to pull it back to the racing line and take T1 like there was nobody there.
Yeah, you can see here I'm side by side with Seb, driving as deep as I can, but round the outside here just doesn't work. At this point, it really was more Graham that I was worried about, I think, as he had just sort of been stringing consistent.
Yeah, sort of slipping under the radar a bit, really, wasn't he?
It was a similar thing kind of last year as well. You know, Graham was sort of slipping under the radar for the most part. Yeah. You know,
Picking up the paces, keeping his nose clean.
Seb had the raw pace, but Graham was very, very consistent. And he's done the same again this year, and it's really kept the pressure on for sure. You know, Seb is always intimidating with his raw pace and his aggression, but Graham has sort of consistently been there. And you know, this round was no different.
All four of us, every round, have been within hundredths of each other. So
yeah,
the differences are so tiny. So yeah, coming on to the last lap then. Pretty much the entire race is, like I say, just been focusing on hitting my marks, keeping everything clean. As long as I don't make mistakes, there's absolutely no way I'm going to lose the position. So yeah, like every race then, we've got the top six reverse. So obviously the benefit, or not the benefit, I win race one, and the negative to that is that I then have to start sixth, and I've got a lot of work to do through the field here. I guess again, we've had really strong starts every race so far compared to the Red Bull guys. So in my head, I'm thinking to be, I've got the points in the race one, so I can maybe afford to be a bit aggressive in race two. And as you can see, I get a really good start then and I've pretty much jumped Graham straight away.
I was very aggressive into turn one here. Seb got quite a good start, so I made sure to drive it in deep on the brakes, and I managed to get by Josh quite early. I knew obviously with race one going how it did that I had to make time up and make points up in race two. So I had to be super aggressive at the start here, make sure to forcefully sort of clear Josh, and then this is where things all sort of unraveled.
At this point, I've basically cleared Seb into the braking zone, and yeah, thinking a bit of desperation, he sent it hard there, and yeah, Seb's made an absolute meal of that. So
I'm not quite sure how Josh's car ends up flipping from that.
Interesting physics.
Bit of a questionable contact there.
That was my race over. I got the meatball flag. At this point, I really was starting to get annoyed with Seb. Obviously this is 6 times or something at this point where Seb's been the cause or hit me, and yeah, I'm not really sure what was going on. I don't know if Seb maybe just doesn't respect me because I'm maybe not as big a name in the Porsche Super Cup and things like that. That he just, I don't know, doesn't respect the speed I've got and doesn't want to sort of be overtaken by me, or maybe it's just the points he didn't want to lose, but yeah.
Yeah, obviously for me, a good bit of pressure off Seb's, dropped back to P5, and again I got the call on the radio that it's probably going to be another penalty for him. So at that point, then it really was sort of Graham was firmly the sort of #1 Red Bull car at that point. You know, he's, again, as we said before, he's really made no mistakes. He's been very consistent. He's been clean. Yeah, so I think here obviously it's the final lap. You can see again quite a bit of cloud covers sort of come over the track. Again, it's really tough to drive because in real life your eyes adjust, but in the sim it doesn't quite work like that. So it does end up just being as if someone has just turned the brightness right down on your screen. So yeah, here when I crossed the line, again, summit to Brands Hatch. Relief.
So you're absolutely buzzing as well.
And yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed with that one. A P4 and a P1.
So that brings us then to, this is round 7 and 8 now, so we're already flying through it. Alton Park, again, the Red Bulls have managed to pip us in qualifying.
Seb put in an absolute god lap,
yeah,
by the way. Two tenths on a fixed setup is unreal.
And it's similar to last year as well. I think we knew coming into this round that Seb is, I don't know what he does around here, but he's god tier. So yeah, very close to Graham. It's unfortunate that we couldn't quite pip him, but yeah, Seb was just he was just on another level in the qualifying. So yeah, getting ready for the lights out, and you know, up to this point, starts has been a massive positive for us. You know, we've been very good off the line, and this is really the first round where I dropped the clutch, and the car wasn't too happy about it. So yeah, I had a really bad start for me this round. I guess the only good thing is that I'm not losing places to guys I don't know. So obviously losing the place to Kev, which, you know, especially with my championship pretty much being at the bin at this point, that yeah, I wasn't really too fussed about that.
Yeah, so I think at this point here it was a case of preparing the tyres for fastest lap. Obviously we knew passing wasn't going to be very easy.
You know, a lot of people think that you know it's once you're quick, you're quick. It's really not. No, this is 95% mental. This is such a mental game, driving these cars. You know.
How many times over the years in practice have I not been the quickest in practice, and then come race day,
you just rock up and deliver.
The guy who's been #1 is just falling to pieces.
Confidence is everything.
Yeah,
it really is.
And especially as you say on a circuit like this, where you know we're right up against the grass, right up against the tyres. Yeah, so I think at this point here, this is sort of where tensions boiled over a little bit. You know, Graham is now 7 tenths back from Seb. He's made a bit of a mistake. I thought, right, come on, let's have a bit of a dive, and I've really sent that in deep there. And then on the outside there, Graham's done nothing wrong, but on my screen, he's just not turned in, and he's actually net coded me off and wide. And of course,
yeah, I just got wrong place, wrong time. I got sort of stuck. You know, the only place I could go was to the left, but then I can't turn in, and because you're a teammate, I don't want to overtake you, and there's not. Even if I wanted to, there's no real place for me to go and overtake. And Josh just sort of had the bit between his teeth there and really took advantage of an opportunity and shoved his car up the inside there. And at that point, there's nothing I can really do.
Yeah, so at this point then, this is where the first crack starts to kind of show. I think there's just under 3 minutes to go. And again, I've gotten really close to Graham. I've sort of saved up the off tracks a little bit. So I end up kind of using a couple at turn 1, just trying to close the gap and really fight through that dirty air window. Out of here, I got a pretty good exit, and I thought, right, if I can drive it really hard through the left, try and show the nose into the next corner. But Graham also drove it in deep. I got a huge wash of dirt air, and right here, just skimmed the grass, and you can see here, just can't get the thing turned. And
I'm pretty sure at that point as well, similar to what we were doing at Silverstone, is that I'm 100% sure that Sebi had much more pace than he was using there. I think Sebi was backing it up on purpose just to sort of help Graham out because he knew he was struggling a bit. So they definitely played it smart that way, trying to protect Graham as much as he could.
That really shows where the mental side of things come in. You know, when I was sitting behind Graham, I had sort of 20 minutes to sit and stew about last year and stew about opportunities that I haven't taken. You know, in the past I've been called sort of not aggressive enough, too passive, too this, too that, and then the one time I try and be aggressive, it ends up being too far the other way. And yeah. So
yeah, setting up for race 2 then. Obviously I wanted to be on pole, didn't quite make it. The interesting thing as well is that I had a bad start because my clutch wasn't set properly, and going into this race I knew that the same thing would happen because I couldn't set the clutch up properly. So unfortunately I eventually figured out what the issue was, but yeah, unfortunately I get another pretty bad start, which is what I didn't need. So
In contrast for me, I actually got a really good start. I think I cleared one. Yeah, I got by Will here and actually got up the inside of Seb. You see here is that Chadwick's gone a bit off at turn one.
yeah, I saw he was using that line a ridiculous amount, like really abusing track limits. I'm quite surprised the stewards didn't have anything to say about that, you know.
Actually, looking, Jamie Moon's already behind me. Yeah, he spun the tyres off the start,
Yeah.
didn't he? Because going into turn one, it got really tight for me. Like, I think it was Jamie Moon had spun the tyres on the outside. Will Tregartha was in the middle, and I was on the inside, and I've
Yeah.
hit the brakes and gone straight up the inside of Seb. And then here I'm just trying to make something happen.
Yeah, so obviously
but
we're
couldn't.
talking with each other at this point. So the goal is obviously we need the field to bunch up to create opportunities for, you know, moves in the braking zones and things like that. So I'm really trying to back my pace up consistently. If that, you know, obviously you can't just slam a brake in the
Yeah,
corner. So you're just
nothing unpredictable.
you're trying to give up, you know, a tenth on the entry, a tenth on the exit, just to try and slow the pace down, to try and bunch the field up. So yeah, making our way towards the end of the race then. As you can see, there's a massive train up behind Josh, and yeah, like I say, I dropped the hammer, so I've got a massive. I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with the pace I had, compared to, obviously, you know, Josh is a world championship driver as well, so to drop someone of his sort of caliber in a track like this was, yeah, I was pretty chuffed with that.
There's 150 quid in the back pocket.
Peanuts.
Absolutely.
Peanuts. He's not even fussed.
Stone faced. Doesn't give a shit. And yeah, I was kind of stuck P6 behind Seb.
So as you can see, then heading into Knock Hill for rounds 9 and 10. Obviously the quali results up on the screen. Obviously Kev gets pole. Yeah, I think you knew coming into this that you had really strong pace, and you definitely showed that throughout the event. For myself, obviously we race Porsche Esports Super Cup on the Saturday, then we have GB often on the Sunday in the same weekend, and yeah, my form has been so bad in PESC, and I've had such horrid luck that, yeah, I think the result on the Saturday night, yeah, it sort of upset me so much that I didn't even turn a lap for this. I managed to drag myself up on the Sunday and start putting in some laps, and I sort of got halfway through qualifying, and yeah, just being truthful, I wasn't really feeling like driving at all. So I thought it was just best for me to just pull it over and call it a day there.
When you get a DM from Seb saying, you know, how the hell did you do that lap? You know, you've probably got some good speed about you, and then went to qualifying, and my Q lap was even better than the one I'd done in practice, which is not something I can really say I've done much this season. Scottish all front row, can't really say we're too surprised. Graham's obviously raced here in real life in Formula Ford and stuff like that, so I knew coming in that Graham was probably going to be my biggest rival, and didn't get a great getaway here. Graham actually got up my inside, and then if the camera would care to actually look at the cars, through here he actually turned into me at turn 2 and sort of clipped my right rear just a little bit. You know, if you start, as you said, confidence is everything.
Whoa.
If you start, oh my goodness, if you start getting sort of scared about one corner and you start thinking about what you're doing, that's when you're going to start making a mistake.
That's the confidence gone already,
and that's what I'd done wrong here. You know, I got through the chicane and I started thinking about what I was consciously doing rather than driving in my subconscious. Like, you know, that's the goal. Is, you know, you're not really supposed to think about what you're doing as such. As sort of as weird as that sounds, you know, you can't really think and drive at the same time. I had one lap where I just sort of zoned out, started thinking, all right, I'll brake at this point, I'll turn at this point, and immediately threw it off the road. Graham done a super good job here to actually stick it on the inside, side drafted me down the front straight, and then we were side by side for turn 1. And as we drop down Duffus Dip here, you can see Graham gets net coded,
which is unfortunate. You know, like
fires him off.
Both of you have done nothing wrong.
So yeah, obviously at this point here, quite a healthy lead. It's 4.8 seconds out to Seb. He got back ahead of Josh at some point, and then we take the white flag. Obviously this is the perfect way to bounce back. I think I don't think I had fastest lap, but I had obviously the bonus point from quali, and then to pick up the race win with every lap led, and that big a gap to Seb was,
yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah, it really put the fire back in the belly. All right, yeah. So obviously race 2 now, reverse back to P6. Had a bit of a watch of race 1 to try and gauge how it's going to pan out, but obviously as we'll see in a few seconds, it was very different. You know, certainly plenty of people were aggressive off the start for sure, and obviously I had it all to lose, so I was a bit more passive, and yeah, down through Duffus Dip on lap 1, Will Tregartha really put a probably move of the season on me, I think, actually.
Watching this from an outside perspective, though, it was, yeah, I don't think you could have played this any better. Like, your decision making was so good. I think a few of us actually mentioned that afterwards. Like, yeah, some of the decisions you made in the split second that you had was super, super clutch.
Yeah, so again, a good start, got to the outside of Seb, and then here Will Tregartha just absolutely drives around my outside, but then as he hits the brakes here, runs a bit deep, pushes Seb wide, and again the camera angles, you can't see anything, but yeah, quite a lot kind of happens here. So Seb gets forced off by Will, and then Josh Thompson gets forced off by Chadwick, and then Chadwick drops it at the chicane only moments later. And
what a mess.
I just about dodged Chadwick. Like, as he sort of came off the chicane and was rolling backwards, I wasn't sure if he was going to go sort of to the left or the right, or if he was just going to hold the brake and sort of stay where he was. So I was sort of stuck in limbo for a little bit, like, where's he going to go, where's he going to go? But then of course I've got the whole field behind me sort of piling through the chicane. So, you know, thankfully, I mean, Will was actually blindsided. I looked at it after the race and he was completely blind. And
I can actually remember someone commenting as well that Will played a big part in you not getting wrecked. Like, him sort of having good vision ahead that played a big part in not having a massive shunt for yourself as well. Yeah,
so basically straight off the bat, then I'm up to P3. I've dodged the carnage.
This track does expose one of the bigger issues with the physics in this sim.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the Kerb behaviour in this sim is definitely not where it should be. I think the cars, it feels like you're on moon gravity.
Yeah, it just feels like gravity sort of doesn't exist. Every car weighs 20 kilos instead of, you know, over a ton or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe the car just can't dissipate the energy properly, if there's something wrong with.
Yeah, so it loads it all up and then just unloads it like a pogo stick or something.
I mean, you see a lot of times, you know, when the cars crash and start to roll over. You know, normally in real life they sort of roll and they sort of slow down as they roll, but in sim racing sometimes they'll land awkwardly and they'll speed up. You know, so it's as if like all the energy is focused on sort of one point of the car and it just can't dissipate properly. So hopefully it's something that iRacing look into.
Some cars are better than others for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty confident it won't get fixed anytime soon. I don't think it's on iRacing's.
I don't think it'll ever get fixed, truthfully. So
no, I don't think it's on the priority list.
Deal with what we've got.
It's probably another 1987 NASCAR that's needing a scan somewhere. So yeah, just under 6 minutes to go. I've finally sort of closed Graham down. It took a good 7 or 8 minutes to kind of get that second gap down, and then at this point here, you know, the heart rate is starting to go up a little bit.
And very quickly you forget. I think obviously from you being in the car, you've quickly forgot that you were near 4 seconds back and you've closed it up.
Yeah,
and that all goes behind. You're sort of just back into normal race mode.
Yeah, and it's really easy as well to sort of start thinking back to Open Park last week, and you know, this is an identical situation where, you know, this has all gone to plan, but I'm right behind Graham.
How much risk do you go for the reward?
Exactly. I mean, if I can get the double win here, I mean, it's 5 points between first and second, and then trying to outbrake someone into turn one here is just near impossible as well. You know, like, it's such a short braking zone.
It's just trying to break out people in this car in general. It's not like real life, you know. In real life, there's so much more. Usually, they're not as far on the limit, I would say, as what we are in here. Like, that's why you see in real life these big dive bombs and people are steaming in and still hold up in the apex. And in the sim, that's just not the case. Everybody is on the absolute limit, and that's why you see these big stack ups in, you know, Porsche Super Cup, these big trains. It's not that people are chilling. Everyone's going as fast as they can, but everyone is overheated tires, braking on the absolute limit that you can't brake further than the limit, otherwise you're just steaming through and going bowling. And I can somewhat sympathise with iRacing as well. You know, some guys' suggestions in there are, you know, we need to change the draft and stuff, but like, what do? You increase it and then you just run into these Mario Kart races where everyone just drives? Yeah, what can you really do? I think, like we say, the only real fix is to fix the tires to where you're not driving on absolute ice all the time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd be very surprised with how the racing would actually start playing out.
If you've actually got grip 15 laps into a 20-lap race.
Yeah, like it gives you the opportunity. If the tires were durable enough to where you can have a dive, but if you do it like 10 times in a row, if you like go into that hairpin 10 laps in a row, sending it from a car length back, they should at that point then overheat, and then you start getting punished.
You just can't lean on the tires.
You can see how little he cuts off the right. I cut a ton off the right, and then had a big dive on the outside here. Got firmly alongside, and then he's run even wider than he did the lap prior.
I think that one was definitely the worst of the lot. I think had he been a bit kinder to you, probably would have been probably ahead on the way into or at least have a bit of overlap ahead on the way into the last corner. It would have made it super interesting.
All right, so obviously the round that's happened most recently for us then is Silverstone International, the shorter layout. Had a bit of an issue here last year. The cut through was really tough to manage, but coming into this season. Got a decent lap together in qualifying to get another pole position, which was good, obviously, off the back of Knockhill there to start off with a bonus point and sort of control the field is obviously massive. The lap itself wasn't anything special. I think Sector 1 was good. Sector 2, I think I pretty much creamed it, but then Sector 3 was just, I don't know if I got a bit of a headwind into the last corner or what, but I ended up entering the corner and being a tenth down on what I could have done. So to be on pole with over a tenth in the lap is obviously a big boost for me. Obviously the two Red Bull guys, second and third, and then Pete and P4. So yeah, at the start then, obviously both Red Bull cars behind.
Interesting start for me actually. I think you had a good start like normal, but again, yeah, didn't really check my clutch properly, and off the start I dropped the clutch and turned into a dragster warm up.
You see just that second phase of the start there, it's just not
constant
stuck.
wheel spin. So
yeah,
straight away I was pretty annoyed at myself for this. I think I even remember apologising for it like halfway through the first lap, because I knew straight away that I'd just let the Red Bull guys off the hook and they have free space to do whatever they need to do to try and get ahead of you. So
yeah,
I was pretty upset with myself at this point for that. So yeah, managed to make my way then through Josh and Jack and put me up into fourth where I started. Yeah, massive gap at that point to the pack ahead. I think I was right on the edge of slipstream around 1.9, 2.0, just to the back of Seb. So obviously I knew that the race was pretty much done, and fourth was probably as good as it was going to get.
All right then. So the last race that we're going to be looking at so far. Yeah, obviously reverse back to P6. Whenever you win race one, although the pressure is sort of off, it's still nerve-wracking because it's more unpredictable. You've got guys who are just on the outside looking in that might think, I can have a bit of a go at the championship leader and see what I'm kind of made of, and then there's also some guys who are maybe not as familiar with being up front. Thankfully this race it was sort of all pest guys, so it was a bit nicer. But yeah, I got a pretty good getaway. I think I cleared, you can see here I'm fighting with Graham off the start, but Jack Cedric got a really poor getaway, spun the rears, and as much as I sympathise with him, it really screwed me over. But if you spin the tyres on lap one, you're
done. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you might as well just hold escape and tow the car back to the pit lane. You've got absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I tried to get an over under here to go 3 wide, but couldn't quite get the car far enough to the inside. So I ended up just working with Graham. As much as he's a rival, I thought I'll bump draft him and sort of clear us, and then he ended up actually moving over and giving me space, which I found unusual, but wasn't going to complain.
Yeah, for myself then, starting from third, again it's pretty similar to previous rounds where you're stronger than the cars ahead, so definitely a favourite for getting a win, or at least fighting for the win. So yeah, I had a good launch. Obviously Jack had a bad one, and I was carrying so much more speed through here that I finally managed to get a good run. And this takes us back then to the rubber banding that we were talking about. As you can see for the incident on the broadcast here, it really doesn't look like I have any overlap at all, and I just clean through the back of him. But you look at my screen and look at the replay on my screen, and I've got my front axle to his rear axle, and he pushes me all the way to the grass, and then we hit the brakes and his car shoots forward and then shoots back, and I run through the back of him. And obviously the stewards, they're going to have to just go off what they see, which is a bit irritating for me because
it's frustrating as well because you spoke to them after the race and they did say that it didn't look that malicious on their end.
So we'll get a good shot of it here, obviously. So this is what it looks like on the broadcast. So for me at this point here, I've got axle to axle, and as you can see, it looks like I've literally no overlap whatsoever. So
it almost looks intentional.
It looks like I've just cleaned through the back of him from being annoyed. Just backing up my pace enough to where I'm a little bit slower than I should be on exits, just to create a little bit of bunching up.
It's something that Red Bull have done to us in the past as well. Like it's a sort of mutual understanding that it's going to happen, and then here,
this is just how it is.
Here, I think this is probably a move of the race for me.
Probably one of the moves of the season, to be honest.
I sent it around Graham's outside, got the inside for the cut through, and then through this right-hander, I had the outside, and knew I would get the run off as well, along with the draft. So this here was massive. Obviously, this was to really not quite put one hand on the trophy, but to really put myself in the driving seat.
Again, I'm doing similar, just making sure I take defensive lines, making sure to help bunch
into
of
here
things
you can Seb lifts at the 150 and then brakes.
Yeah, this was very controversial.
So I've got no option to go up the inside, and then here on the exit, Seb just drives me off completely over the red curb and lets his teammate back through.
Obviously, we're going to be quite biased, but I think Seb's got to know in his own heart there that he's a very lucky boy to get away without without any penalties and stuff. Yeah. I'm not sure what we've done to Seb coming into this season, but he just doesn't seem to like us very much this year.
As I said, I've never really had any issues with him. Seb and I had some really good racing last season, but yeah, for some reason in this race, he definitely wasn't a fan of leaving me racing room. So yeah, I had a lengthy discussion with the stewards after the race. I really made my standpoint clear that, if this is deemed as legal, then the last 2 rounds can get quite messy. Take a P3. Obviously, Pete, you got penalised after the race, so it ended up promoting me to third in the end. So, it could be what I could have lost points on this day, but we ended up sort of breaking even. So it delays their progress. Yeah, it delays their progress. So gives us sort of 2 races left to hold on. The reaction.
Yeah, I think I know in my head as well. Like that point, it's like, yeah, this.
I was just thinking, like from a spectator standpoint,
we must look like a bunch of miserable bastards.
Alright guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's taken us a good few hours to actually break down all the racing that we've had this season. Obviously it's been pretty tense, as it always is with the 2 Red Bull guys and whatever else, but we've got a couple rounds left to go now, so we're going to get our sort of heads down, focus on Donington next weekend, and then we'll be ending off the season at Brands Hatch. But hopefully, as I say, you guys have enjoyed this. If you're interested in sort of learning more about the technical side of sim racing, if you need help with sort of car setups or even just your graphics settings, simple settings with the sim, any kind of shortcuts, then make sure to sign up at apexracingac.com. You've got me myself, I coach the Porsche 992 on there along with a couple of GT3s, and Peter here's our open wheel specialist, so he'll cover more sort of the Formula 4, Formula 3 kind of things if you guys are interested in that. But apart from that, we'll catch you guys after the season.